Good evening, folks. We want to welcome you again to another edition of MLC Talk. This is the platform we discuss all things Lutheran. And today we have Dr. George Toto. He's going to be in the driver's seat as our host. And Dr. Toto will introduce our guests. He will bring our guests on stage. But Dr. Toto, it's all yours. And how are you doing in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, well, I'm okay. Pennsylvania. I don't know about you and outside, but I think this winter is one of the toughest winter.
Yes.
Uh, you know, it's so brutal. A lot of
Yeah.
cold, rain, snow, ice.
Yeah.
And all.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm doing good. I've been under the weather the past few days. I think my voice can tell you. I've been under the weather. It's been cool. But other than that, I'm okay. I hope your side also too. Or how along that.
Atlanta is wonderful. We are also having a strange winter. Atlanta is not really noted for cool like this. So if you notice, it's been raining all morning, and if you notice my attire, since I came from service, I'm still I'm still in a sweater. So yeah, it's cold this morning. It's very very unusual for this region. But other than that, simple traffic issue, and the family is doing well. But I'm glad again that we can, be on the platform tonight to, provide information to our people out there, viewing us from Zozo, Grand Jide, and also our brother in India and the folks there in Zimbabwe.
Thank you with it. And also to our guests out there. Welcome to another edition of our show. We have a very special guest, Reverend David. David is new to the LCL here, our special guest. So share the show for us. Share the show on your page. Invite other people. There's a very interesting topic. It's an ongoing discussion already. You can call in to air your view. You can write your comment in the chat. Your comment will be read. And I want to welcome everybody to the show tonight to another edition with our other two co-hosts, Elijah in Minneapolis, and also our dear sister couple in Canada. And hopefully they will join us later on. So we want to welcome to the show, want to start the discussion, want to welcome Reverend Sequoia David in Germany. Reverend, I think America and Germany, Europe will have the same weather. So why is it there? We got a Germany going on.
Yeah, I would like to first thank you for welcoming me on the show tonight. I am Siakoya Davis. I live in Germany, specifically in Hamburg. Hamburg is north, in the northern part of Germany, very, very far north, not far from Denmark. And yeah, the weather here has been, I think, very similar to what you guys are experiencing in the United States. We've had we're very beautiful winter. We had lots of snow. German like snow very much, and we've had an abundance of snow almost every day. Yesterday it snowed again, and this morning snowed, and the temperature is around -3. There was a time it was like -14, and with the wind it feels like -20 or so.
Wow.
So we've had a tough weather here as well, with lots of storm in between. Disruption in traffic, disruption in train services, etc., bus connections. Yeah, but it's a beautiful phenomenon. I love snow very much. I prefer a snowy day to a gray winter day. That is, a gray winter day is always boring to me. But when you have a lot of snow everywhere, it's white, and it's very beautiful. So I go out with the kids. We go having fun with the snow.
That's wonderful. I was in Germany. I was in Munich.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for some international conference.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beautiful. It was a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And what thing that amazed me was the hotel that I booked. There's nobody there there's nobody that you can talk to the hotel. Right? everything you need there is already given to you. You have to swipe your passport, your ID, everything in it. If you made a mistake, you can't enter the hotel. So I was there struggling, country walk out of town. One German kid that helped me through the process to go to the hotel, everything. But it was a good experience,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I think whether you are in Germany the last time too, right?
Yeah, I, I'm kind of, I'm kind of feeling guilty now that I went to Berlin and Wittenberg, but
Oh, nice.
I forgot to get in
Yeah, the
touch with
places are
Larry.
not far from me actually. Berlin is like
Yeah, and
2 hours with the fast train,
yeah,
from Hamburg. It's not far at all. Yeah, hope
and,
to welcome you guys here next time you
no,
are around Hamburg
absolutely,
or in
Larry. Yeah,
Germany.
and
Just give it a hit.
yeah, no,
Hmm.
most definitely. I also had an opportunity to visit Leipzig, but
Oh,
no,
yeah,
honestly, I
Leipzig.
really don't
Yeah.
want. Yeah, yeah, Leipzig. Yeah, I really want to come back, and you will be informed the next time, right? I
Yeah,
want to
that,
come back.
I look
Yeah,
forward to that. I
Yeah.
look forward to that. Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, but very
yeah.
very welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. I highly commend you guys for the initiative. I've been in between. I follow it for a while, but I've been very busy, so I've
Okay.
not had the time to monitor most of the show. But I saw a couple of editions, and I think you guys are doing extremely well. So I must commend you for your effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Larry, let get to know more about you. Who is Larry
Yeah,
Davis?
I am Sequoia Davis. I studied in Liberia under the sponsorship of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, and then I was fortunate to move to the United Kingdom, where I studied at the University of Birmingham. I was there for some time, completed my master's degree in applied theology, and then I from there I moved to Switzerland, where I studied and achieved my graduate studies also in ecumenical theology. Upon completing these two studies, I moved to Germany. I currently work as a pastor in the Lutheran Church. The Lutheran Church is called the North Church. The North Church is the church that is responsible for the northern part of Germany. Is merely a Lutheran church. They call it Evangelical Lutheran Church, like you have in the United States of America. Yeah, and I've been in their employed since 2015. And I first served in consultative role. I worked at the University of Rostock, and then later I moved to work as a pastor for the Lutheran Church in Liberia. I mean, for the North Church
That's it,
in
Yeah,
Germany.
yeah.
that's it, Larry. But are you in touch with the Lutheran Church in Liberia? Are you
Yeah, I
communicating?
was I was recently in Liberia not long ago, and I had a brief interaction with the bishop, and that was really amazing. We're wearing mobile. Zizi were also together with also with Reverend Jerome Labley. So we were together at Dutrin compound. We had lunch together, and the bishop was also part of our lunch, and we had very very interesting discussions about our church.
Okay. Can you bother tell someone who is to discuss about the future of the church?
Yeah, we are having lots of challenges globally, and the Lutheran community is in Europe is very seriously challenged. The question of funding is attached mainly to the membership, and the church in Germany, the membership has been dropping very, very. It has been very, very continuous since the last 10 years. The Evangelical Lutheran Church of Germany has lost close to 1 million members, and the church is tied to its membership because the members pay taxes. If you work as a member of the Lutheran Church in Germany, it is an obligation that you pay a certain percentage of your salary directly to the church. You don't receive it. The government plays that role. The government takes over the entire administration, and a portion of your salary is subtracted and it goes directly to the church. So when the church loses membership, that amount that the members pay, kind of the church loses out on it. So it's been one of the major problems. So people have been thinking about the American model or the Liberian model, where you don't directly tax people based on what they receive at the different workplaces, you rather rely on generous donation. But that model is not yet in question. We are still dealing with the whole problem of decline in membership and low income. So it is creating a problem for our international connection churches that are directly connected to our church in the north. Our church in the North Church is connected to Tanzania. We have a direct relationship with Tanzania and a lot of funding, uh, different projects in Tanzania. In Bayan, the Bavarian Church, as you know, is connected to Tanzania and the Lutheran Church in Liberia as well, and they have connection to other churches. But their finances are getting really stretched out, and it is important that we start to think in other directions how we can become self-reliant. That's not something new. It is a very old question, but how we deal with these questions was one of the issues, that the bishop and I just briefly chatted on. How does the church become self-sustainable? That's one of our major challenges. How do we? That's the biggest question, and you are now trying to provide one of the answers to this basic question: how do we become self-sustaining?
So, Remy, you said that, and one of the things I captured from your report, you talk about international connection. They were coming to the international connection. To our viewer out there, this is my Lutheran connection. We're having a discussion with Davis. If you have questions, put it in the chat before you report the show. My co-host with it will come in also to ask some questions. Also, but let's go into our main topic of discussion to the very. You talk about international connection. A time ago on the show, we discussed my issue about diaspora Lutheran participation into the growth and development of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. Especially you talk about international connection. That's why I asked you that question. And the world have changed. People have migrated from place to place. And not their only society as a whole, but even churches, institutions also have been affected also too. We have huge diaspora under the country. And that's why we have Lutheran members also too. But because our church is a little bit different. What a background noise is it? What did I say?
No, I'm sorry. I think it should be from outside. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Let me switch up my microphone. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you can read it. So you want to talk, you can read. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. So we discussed a time ago. There was a pastoral retreat that was held by the Lutheran Church in Liberia, in the southeastern of Liberia. What we some of the info we got from that retreat, pastoral retreat, was that they try to set the guideline for the next bishop election that be coming out. And from our reliable sources, we hear that this guidelines are there to really try to look at people, the diaspora, pastors and the diaspora to be participating in the church in the time of election. And we have a Reverend School we talk about it also too. We had the president of Aliyah, the Lutheran America. But in your own perspective, in your own opinion, do you think it's worthwhile to have people in the diaspora to participate in the church activity by one Nigeria?
That is a fundamental question, and I think it is very important. Um, Lutherans who were baptized in Liberia and later moved to the United States of America or to other parts of Europe have stake in the Lutheran Church in Liberia. It is similar to our Liberian diaspora community in the United States and other parts of Europe. We cannot be disconnected from our root. The church is our root. The church laid our foundation. The church sponsored us and gave us a lot, and we give back to it as well as we were in Liberia. And it is important to continue giving back to the church. And It should be a question of give and take. It should be a reciprocal relationship where it is it shouldn't be based on on necessarily on people in reforming a structure on the basis of power. Perhaps there should be there should be a reformation that will take into consideration direct connection with our entity, so that we don't wait for elections before we engaged, so that people are already engaged before we come to elections, so that by the time you arrive at the point of elections, you have different different people who have stake in the church in Liberia would have already got well established on the ground. They've had their input. Others have learned from them, transferred their ideas, and contributed morally, financially, and other different ways we can help to maintain our church or to support our church, especially in the face of dwindling international support. I mean, we can't exclude the diaspora, and on the other hand, we also cannot exclude the yeah the active participation of those on the ground, those that live in Liberia, pastors that live in Liberia that go through all the struggle, that sacrifice. In Germany is different. You can work anywhere in Germany as a pastor, as a Lutheran pastor. All of you get the same amount of money. Whether you are in a village, whether you are in a city, it's the same. In Liberia, it's different. In Liberia, if you are a son, for instance, in a forest in Bone County, you are different from the pastor who is a son at St. Peter's. And because of the disparity in the financial support or the influence of pastors, not just the financial aspect, the influence, St. Peter's Lutheran pastors can have, the fact that they are very close to the central office. That's one part. And the second part, they have better financial support than pastors that are in the rural areas. That creates tension, creates, fighting amongst the pastors, stiff competition that sometimes, people get so locked in and the church goes down, the route of division.
So, Reverend,
So, yeah,
Reverend,
yeah,
we become it's a interactive discussion, so we become
yeah,
there. But
yeah, definitely, definitely.
that's a very good point. That how do we bridge a gap
Yeah, that's the
between
question. How do we bridge?
local
That's a very thin. That's a very
pastors
sensitive.
having a diaspora? How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, that's a very sensitive area, and we we need to involve both parties. There should be a link or the roadmap that leads to that, so that the answer is not found in the beginning. The answer is found through a process. You understand my point? Where diasporal pastors, diasporal members of the church, lay people, and pastors are so directly engaged, and they are like working on their differences. They are interacting. The diaspora members and pastors and officials are contributing. They are very closely engaged with the church to the extent that would have reached the point of elections. We already have a very close relationship, and that will reduce the tension. Those that are on the ground wouldn't feel robbed, wouldn't feel cheated, wouldn't feel that it's unfair. We've been here sacrificing our pastor in some kind of village in Lofa County, or another village in the southeast. I've been sacrificing. I have the qualification to become a bishop. I have a master's degree. And this pastor who is having a good life in Europe or America comes and immediately takes over and he becomes the bishop. That's natural. It's going to divide the church, no matter how we take it. So I will really think that it should be a process. It shouldn't be we found the answer at the beginning. Let's gradually find the answer through discussion, through dialogue, through interaction, where we have several conferences, several meetings where people are sacrificing leaving the United States. Let them be compelled to leave the United States, leave Africa, leave other parts of Africa where they are studying, not only the United States and Europe. You could also have Liberian Lutherans studying in top universities in Africa. We need to move away from this myth Now, only in Europe and America, you have the best universities. You have great universities in Africa, theological universities in Africa. So we have to open everything up where our people will engage. Let's have the dialogue. Let's have debate, and people should be open to disagreement. People should be open, to the fact that their ideas will be challenged. And we play until in the end we derive an answer. But I wouldn't think it's fair to exclude the diaspora membership of our church from leadership, especially when they are still members. Now, the technical aspects with respect to whether they are still fully members, the fact that they've been away for a long time, can be worked out. The administrative aspect, the technical area can be worked out. But there should be a dialogue like you are doing tonight. We are doing on this show. Is a part of the process, it's a part of the dialogue in arriving at a solution to deal with the sticky issues. So by the time we reach to the next 2 years, we like far ahead, then we can, kind of derive a solution.
Thank you, Barry. I mean, you really stress a very important point. I will come back to you to expand on some of the point. But let me ask Willie, Willie, before you come in, let me make sure that that's out this discussion it is very interesting. The Reverend trying to explain to an excellent point. So if you want to call on the show, you can call. You want to have anything to share, right in the chat, and we'll read your comment. Willie, what do you have on your plate for the Reverend?
Sure, absolutely. We have a lot. Hopefully, we can, try to. Hopefully, we can try to cover, most of it in the hour that we have. Reverend, you made a very brilliant point that we need to strike a balance. That it's like give and take. You know, we shouldn't want to wait for electoral period. You know, to to make our presence felt, and those are on the ground will feel robbed. But taking it from that point, I want to come in with this question that you know diaspora Liberian Lutherans are contributing immensely to the growth, the sustainability of our church. Okay, it may not be directly to central administration. It will be to other congregations. It would be through health, the health care of a pastor, or the welfare of a pastor, and through some of our infrastructure projects that have been undertaken. For example, St. Matthew is undertaking her school rebuilding project, Badnasville, and what have you. Now, these contributions are not met with stiff resistance until electoral period. So what I mean, what how do you how do you compare that, or how can we how can we compare that to the process of welcoming those who will have intention of maybe occupying any office? It could be secretary, office of the secretary, office of the treasurer, or even office of the bishop, the biggest one, office of the bishop. Okay, anyone who wants to contribute to the church back home. Like in your premise, you mentioned that the church has given to us so much, and it is it behooves us to give back to our church. And I will close my question on this, that the last here in the US and Canada, we have an association called the Association of Liberian Lutherans in the Americas. Okay, and the last conference or assembly was held in Atlanta, Georgia, to be specific, Liberian, Georgia. The bishop of the Delaware, Maryland Synod, okay, attended, and he squarely informed the bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. He said, "Your siblings have a major stake in the LCL, so they need to be incorporated fully. They need to be incorporated fully." So I come back to this, that we are contributing. Our contribution, there's no resistance to our contribution. But if we want to participate, like tomorrow, you say, okay, with all of the time I have spent and knowledge I have gained in the diaspora, I want to serve as Secretary General of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. And this stiff resistance comes about those of us on the ground, those of you in the air. What do you say about that?
Yeah, thank you. You raised a very salient point, with respect to contribution. there is a way it is described in some circles. They call it the sacred tax. You know, you something that you kind of feel obliged. I feel obliged to help kids that are in Liberia, to help girls especially, you know, help them go to school. To me, it's a sacred tax. It's not something that the government demands of me, but I have the moral conscience, you know, to doing that, and it's very important to me. And to the extent I consider a taxation, and it is my obligation. I'm obliged, almost like a force, because I know what Liberia has done for me socially as a country, lay my foundation, all that I am, my entire sociology, other than my biology and chemistry. My entire sociology is Liberia. The way I walk, the way I talk, the way I think, how I was formed was you know established by this country. And the church came and established the spiritual aspect. The spiritual aspect is like the highest. And that's the highest giving. That's the highest, you know, gift we receive from our church, that the church gave us, you know, this spiritual awakening. And the only thing I can give back, anything I give back, it falls short, you know, of compensating, of equally compensating for what the church gave me. So if I am here, I am giving, I'm contributing. I'm not using it as a conduit to power. I'm not using it so that, you know, next I want to impose myself. Say I've given so much, you be accepting my money. But I consider when I give, I consider it a tax, a sacred tax. So I try to make it commensurate, which cannot happen, with what I have received from the church. So I think that is the approach. Lutherans should be open-minded, both sides. Both sides need to be open-minded. Those that are engaged is beautiful. I think it's great. We in the diaspora that are engaged with the church, whether it's a project, a school project, or the medical, or the church building, or sending kids to school, or just some quiet contribution. You may not have, you know, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 that you're sending back, but you sponsoring 1 or 2 Lutherans in different schools. You're quiet and silent about it. The others are clear. Everybody sees it. The others kind of, you know, mediocre. Everybody doesn't see it. You are in a way contributing, and that's part of the engagement I talk about. That engagement can be institutionalized. It is important that first we try to institutionalize the structure, and then we allow the institution slowly to develop answers to some of our problems. If we don't create the clear institution, we create a problem, because it should be clearly defined who is a member of our church, so that either we incorporate all Lutherans that are in the world, open ecumenism, you know, because every Lutheran tradition is different. Lutherans that are in the United States of America, they have their own tradition, whether they are Liberian Lutheran or not. They have that influence and impart, you know, from Liberia. But as time goes by, because of the cultural context that they found themselves in, they have different influences. There might be moral things, you know, that they may agree to in America, that in Liberia or Africa, the African church may not agree to. So you evolve, you change based on your context, and that context helps to transform your thinking. Even your theology can be transformed by the context. So you allow the different dialogues where people have different stakes and different interpretation. It's not only financial contribution. People should bring their different ideas. How can our church get self-sustaining, so that we stop opening our hands and begging people in Europe and America? How can we use our own resources? So I come back again to the point: people who give money, people who give time. People usually talk about money, but time is one of the most important things. So that's why I tell people, if we want to reform our context so that we include some of our Liberian Lutherans, want to include them into leadership, maybe it would be wise to have a clause in our whatsoever document or paper we develop, like our broader constitution is, that person should be able to spend maybe 1 year or 2 years in Liberia to reacclimate themselves with the context that they left 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, so that the person, you know, will build the connection with. When I go to Liberia, I can't believe it. I was there. I know how things have changed. I can argue I'm from Liberia, but the guys who are on the ground,
So
when they interact with me, the question they ask, I understand that they even know better than I.
Very,
yeah.
let me interject. that you brought up good point. This is okay, my next question, but say you brought it on the media, throw that in. Uh, they have a constitutional revision committee right now to do some work on the LCL constitution. Uh, this is that alleged, by just their own opinion that they want to write the constitution that before you contest for elected office, be it bishop or whatsoever, you should live in Liberia for 5 to 10 years first before you're eligible. In your opinion, do you think it's fair?
The first thing, the question has two parts. The first question is the idea of spending time in the context. That's the first thing. I agree with that. To me, it's important. How long is what, one can disagree, people can debate. Suppose say 20 years, 10 years. I think 10 years is really a long time. Then if our elections are every 4 years, 6 years, I think our elections are
5 years.
5 years. If our elections are every 5 years, then why are you talking about me living in the country 10 years before election? So people can disagree. Others are saying 5 years or 10 years. They can, give their argument. And these are the kind of discussions that we need. Mind you, we are Christians, and we should not feel that when people have different opinions, they hate us. It's important to have all the different opinions. That's why I commend you guys, because you are pulling all the different ideas and different opinions. And through that, the more we chew on these things, the great thinker said the questions are more important than answers. So the more questions we ask, we'll be able to find answers to our challenges that we have, because that's what we're doing here tonight. We're trying to find answers to our challenges. And one of our major challenges is whether we should allow people who live in the diaspora to take up position in our church. That's a very, legitimate question. Question is legit. But the details of that question, we have to work it out. If we don't work out the details, the administrative aspect, the ecclesial aspect of it, the all of the different social context part of it, we might hit a brick wall and have conflict. So I agree that, like our constitution says, our constitution talks about consecutive years. Maybe we'll say consecutive years, maybe 4 years, since our elections are every 5 years. We say the person would have lived in Liberia like 3 years. 3 years to me would be reasonable. Someone who was born in Liberia, who understood the context, 2 years, 3 years, living in that context, having lived out of the context for a long time, would be a good thing. But it should be a process where we put different ideas together and debate and discuss and come to solutions.
Yeah, very good. Before when they come in the next question, let me just show they also do you when they come also. The Liberia Constitution have a provisional clause, also they have a resident clause.
Mm-hmm.
In the Liberia Constitution that had to do with presidential election. But I think the Supreme Court gave a ruling on that. I think they say first you have to be in the country for 10 years.
Yeah, they said consecutive later, right, when Tewan Goglo raised that argument.
When you qualify. I think the Supreme Court passed a ruling on that also too. So, my point is, in the highest court, they passed a ruling when it comes to our constitution, how we let our presidents, our leader, and then we narrow it down to our church also to I think our executive councils, our constitutional revision committee need to take all that into consideration also too when they make a decision on important document like you're talking about. And that's a very good point you raised. With it, so you want to come in?
I still want to come into that point. Reverend, on the issue of residency, so would it be a like for the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia now that we just talked about, the Supreme Court made it clear, consecutively like 10 years. But what if someone who is engaged with say for example you are engaged with you're engaged with the church and your presence is in the country probably I would say like 2-3 times a year, and you probably go for probably like not less than a month. Okay, you are engaged with the church. Okay, and while at the same time you are scouting some support or getting idea for the church in the diaspora as well. Should that exclude you because of your dwelling location. That's it. Because of your dwelling in the country for the for the supposedly 3 to 5 years period,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
your residency in the country, or it should be like engaging with the church and finding meaningful ways that our church can be self-sustainable. And the reason I ask this question is very simple, because this is the thing. If we look at this, we look at the secular side, the our constitution, the for of the Republic of Liberia, and we want to look at our church, all right, and we see that the church, like our co-host Elijah, we always say our church is not brain dream. So, um, should we should we base it on residency
Mm-hmm.
and having someone to aid our church in terms of, like you said, not only finance, in terms of knowledge, in terms of other, yeah, in terms of skill,
Mm-hmm.
okay, bringing skills to the church. Should we base it on that, or having an open mind that, okay, while it is true that your residency is not, I would say, fully in Liberia, you don't sleep in Liberia from January to December, but yeah, you are engaged with you engage with the church, and you are contributing meaningfully to our church.
Yeah, Brother Cowboy, that's a very important interjection. I think the intent of the residency clause is important. Let's look at the intent. We always want to create a parity so that those that are residential in Liberia don't feel, we want to reduce tension. You can never erase tension at all, in any body, any system. And the church is different from our political body in a way, because we are organic, we are alive, we are connected by Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and we have a spiritual bond, whether the person lives in Liberia or lives in Europe or America. And we have this eternal bond between us, and it goes beyond the celestial. It's beyond the our terrestrial existence here on earth. It's far beyond that. So that's what keeps us together, our Lord and Savior. And I think that's what we should consider. And the question of residency should not be the primal reason why, we elect people into position, but we eject it as a clause to create some kind of parity, so that those that are residing, you give the others who are away the opportunity to interact with the culture. The church has a culture, and this culture is not stagnant. This culture of the
Right.
church is evolving. And when I visit the Lutheran church in Liberia, it's different from the Lutheran church in Liberia 10 years ago or 20
Yeah,
years ago
absolutely.
when I worked there as a pastor. So anybody
Yeah,
who wants to work there as a pastor, and anybody who wants to work there as a secretary general of the church, is it not beneficial that the person, acclimate themselves to this new
absolutely.
culture that has been set?
Absolutely.
And I think we can create a minimal time. We can say, because of the present basic schedule in the United States or Europe or in Kenya or in Nairobi and other place, you do it like 2 years, but the person can come like a maximum of 3 months or 4 months and still leave. And then in less than 3 months, you expect the person to come back, so that you acclimate yourself with the climate that you want to work in, so that you understand the church culture, you understand the social culture, then you understand the different aspects of our church. Because our church is dynamic, like you say in the beginning of the show. And that's what we all are. We all change. We are not constant. And that's how
Right.
the church, because our church is not constant, we pray upon our brothers who are in other places, our sisters, to come and spend some time with the people. Let the people then they learn the new context. The context they left there 5 years ago, even a minimum, is not the same. You can never step in the same river twice.
No, I
Thank
like
you
that.
very much. Yeah,
Go ahead,
thank
Dr. Tutu.
yeah, you can have to see repertoire. That's a
Yeah,
that's a
Paracletus.
takeaway. But we'll start going into our chat to read some of the comment there. But before getting to the comment, brother, I want for you to respond to the. Let me get your opinion on this here. Yeah, some of the pastors for the LCL, we're not going to call names. I was we want to protect our sources. But somebody reached out or personally say, you know what, for me, I don't support anybody come from the diaspora to be bishop of the church. We here, we the trenches, we stay here all the better year, we travel, we here we serve the church. While always people from there should come and serve to lead us. Are we not able to lead to? So the question and answer. So if you were to speak to the pastor or somebody to talk to you, how would you respond to them?
Yeah, I would tell them, understand them. It's the first response to disagreement is empathy. You have to put yourself into the shoes of the people. Our church has so many problems. And one of the reasons why people want leadership, yeah, they want to serve, but people want to be able to help their families. People want their children to go to good school. People want to be able to go to hospital. We know many pastors who died in our church who did not have medical access to good medication. People in different villages and they suffer. We have to be very clear about that very harsh reality. What happened to our brothers and sisters? We have tens of our pastors who died in the last 20 years. When you count that, it's sad, very sad. And not only pastors, members. You understand it? So, and those that go through all those pains, to be frank, my dear brothers and sisters, are the people on the ground. So when they raise that kind of argument, you have to empathize with their suffering. You have to empathize with their suffering and move the discussion above just leadership. It's about how can we care for our pastor. That's what the whole thing is about. We need a structure that will care for our pastors, whether they work in Monrovia or they work in Kakata or anywhere. We need to care for our pastor. We need to care for our workers, not just pastors. I like to also include the lay into any discussion. So to that pastor, I will tell him, let's continue the discussion. Let's continue the discussion. We are all the same. We are all Lutherans. The meeting we need to do, work on our structure and find other sources of sustaining ourselves so that we don't keep begging. Because the people who begging, they themselves are having challenges. They're having serious challenges. The birth rate in Europe is dropping. So you're not constantly getting baptisms. You don't know how many persons are baptized
Yeah,
per year.
yeah,
The number can reach 10.
yeah.
Something serious, I'm
Oh,
telling you. The number can reach 10 in my late church here in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Baptism can reach 10. Compare it to baptism in Liberia, talking about hundreds. You understand?
And
Can we reach 10?
yeah, definitely the very
You understand? So we have to empathize with the people on the ground without raising the argument that they're jealous, where they want to travel, they want the same. You start to fight by like that, you get big division in the church. You need level-headed people to lead our institutions. People who will be willing to create the institutions so that our people can benefit. And when you make the people benefit, those that come, they'll be willing to work with those that are there. And those that are there will meet the different conditions we have in our constitution. People will disagree. It's normal. But let's discuss that, create the structure, and arrive at answer at the end of the structure or in between while we go on.
Thank you, Reverend. That's a very fair point. And also to like you stand there in Germany, even in America, the church is declining in population. We don't the while we were kids, we went to church with our parents back home. It's not as compared to is in the Western world. The church is declining in population. That's a very good point you raised.
Yep.
With it, what do
yeah,
you have there?
yeah.
You want
We can read a few of the comments. Yeah, we can view.
to recognize our guests?
Yeah,
And then we'll get on part two of the discussion.
sure, absolutely. We have Andrew Tier. He's there in Phoebe Escript. Andrew, we want to say welcome. Um, Daniel Bamba Wheeler. I think that's Wheeler.
Yeah,
Yep.
that,
Yeah.
hold on.
Okay. Taking critical and yep. And listening. Clement Colley, Swat Colley, from Zozo, Lufa County. We want to say thank you for following us. That's my junior brother, Emmanuel Sumokobo. He's there in Wu campaigns. Oh, okay, he's back. He's always in Kenjo, Grand Cape, man. So yeah, and Philip McKay. Speaking of the loyalty, he's one of the lay workers in our church. Philip McKay. He says sincere gratitude to you all. My nephew cowboy. Yeah, uncle. He's following
Okay.
Galilee Lutheran Church, ERW, Town.
So what is the they have a Lutheran church in the area community too?
Yes, yeah, Town. Yep, yep,
Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
And that falls under St. Matthew, Lutheran
That's a
Parish.
parish was four church there.
Yep. No, that's a church. It falls under St. Matthew Parish.
So you know, I
That's
grew
where
up.
I believe the Reverend
I
Wokolo
grew
Colley
up.
is.
Yeah, I grew up in that community in Piedmont as a
Ah,
child.
Yeah,
okay.
Way back,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
Our sister Marlene Molwakakula, she's there watching from the Twin City, Minneapolis. Brother Joseph Jala, Goose Shepherd. Oh yeah, Goose Shepherd Parish, Logan Town.
We should have been looking at for a while.
Yeah, the Reverend the Deacon Moses Smokette. He said, Reverend Davis, great to see you. You have made a point of continuing to sing on assignment and salary issues. The policy is moving pastors by term is feasible under the salary structure of Germany or in the UMC. Experience and qualifications should matter in our salary structure and not regional service. And also your sister is here as well. She's saying thank you, Nelly S. Bien Olagbe. She's also following our sister Comfortware is following Comfortware Saki is following from Battersville. Beerban Dukley is also following from Wentown. And he talked about again Reverend Deacon. I keep saying Reverend Deacon Moses Kede. He said the idea that we are aware but very involved in our church and parish and make us active. Yeah, make us active parishioners. And I understand, he said, which in fact has been implemented since the vote in 1985.
Yep.
Yeah, Deacon Kelly also mentioned that the suggestion, he said, I think Reverend David's suggestion of 2 to 3 years is amicable. That's true. And he got a long one here again. He talked about, the age and term limit. Yeah, and most of our people are aging. So if we only want those who are on the ground and be very strict in terms of residency, if you look at the Constitution as well, a lot of our pastors now who do not qualify. A lot do not qualify.
That's another point for discussion.
That's another point for another day. Joshua Swakoli is watching from Banga. We want to say thank you. Our brother Royal Jerome Jala. Congratulations on your anniversary, Jerome Jala.
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations. He's the vice council chairperson of the German church in Liberia.
I met him in Hamburg. I saw him briefly in Hamburg. We met. I met him
yeah.
his family.
we call.
Congratulations.
But Jidonu Colley, I think Jidonu Colley. He said, "Hey, Remy, very long time. Good to hear you talk about the church tonight. That's true." And Reverend, our guests, we do have. This is a religious viewer, and we have our guest to pronounce his name. So we've all tried on this set, and the guys, they try to laugh at me, but I know that I'm pronouncing it right.
You don't use this struggle to pronounce his name.
I know I pronounce the name the right way, but
you will ask Reverend to pronounce it different.
Reverend can pronounce our viewer name.
Manipula.
Manipula small.
There you go. That's what I said. Manipula small.
Even though it's spelled differently, but I would think of manipula because I pele man.
Yeah, that's it. That's the pronunciation. Yeah, that's how Father Manipula small is following us from Missouri. He is a religious follower. Yeah, that would do it for some of our viewers tonight. A lot of them viewing but not commenting. So Dr. Tudo, let's go back to you for the last segment on our show tonight.
It's a very good discussion, as Reverend.
Dr. Tudo, just to interject a little bit. The next session we're going on, if you are not aware, Reverend is an excellent chess player. Just so you know.
I'm still waiting for you to visit me, man. Long time you've been promising to visit me.
I'm coming there. I'm coming.
Okay. And you paid the fine for keeping me waiting last week.
No. I will. I will.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ayatollah.
You know, a very good discussion. They said, why we do the show, to make it show lively, to either add to our guests, read the comment, come to the call in, to keep the discussion. That's the beauty of the network and also of our church. We do this thing, it's not because for the political aspect of it, because, politics somewhere has its own baby also too. But it's just to have a diverse view, when it comes to our church. And we like the diaspora also we are part of that process. So that's part of this discussion. And really when you are speaking, some of the point you were addressing, it was leading to some of the critical issues that confront the church. Like what they said when our co Elijah, he always said brain drain. That's the issue of private Lutheran church in Liberia. We have the best. We have a university right now, the Lutheran University.
Yep.
Despite we still struggling a little bit when it comes to the Lutheran. What the dean said, the dean, when I got distract our conversation, he gave me. He
The decent greeting to his.
Greetings, my dean.
the dean come and start the dean, we do the dean, look at this our conversation. That's the dean.
Greetings, my dear dean.
Yeah.
Reverend Jala.
We had a Lutheran University right now. Lutheran University, that's why we still have so struggling going on in terms of funding, in terms of infrastructure, all that stuff. But we'll get there. I believe we'll get there as a church, as a university. And also, and that's the reason why we had a guest just a time ago. We talk about the direction. We are in the 21st century now. Things are changing. We talk about the internet is cyber security. We have taken a whole different dimension now. AI, I take a different dimension now. For me, just for example, I can sing. I don't have a voice to sing, but I try AI the last time. It changed my whole tone in singing. And that's a world we find ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
And the church will be able to be prepared to adapt to this circumstance also too. They want to make an impact in the world. And that's what we talk about the all proposed Liberia Lutheran Conference. It will be other than our original conference that take place every 2 years or year. It will be different from it, but this is a specific conference to address the concern of the church. Where are we as a church? What impact can we make to change the dimension of our church in terms of pastor? One of our comments, the deacon just said in terms of salary, disparity among our pastors. What direction do we want to go to as a church? What input can we do? How can we get engineers, doctors, lawyers, laymen on the floor to discuss the future of the Lutheran Church in Liberia? Very concerning. And then we'll come back on next topic. We kind of propose or Liberia Lutheran Conference. The LCI gave the go ahead to plan this conference. And we need Liberia in Germany also too, in Europe as a whole. We all can just come together to plan this conference and be executed successfully. Or create a roadmap for the Lutheran Church in the next vision, maybe 2050 or 2020 or 2000. But what's your view? What can you bring on the floor for this conference to be successful?
Yeah, thank you. I think it is a fascinating idea, and to me, one of the most important things that sometimes we overlook is something called micro-ecumenism, which is the coming together of people within the same system. You have the micro MRCRO and you have the MACRO. The micro is the bigger, and I think it's one of the areas where we try to create synergy. Synergy is one, where 1 + 1, the result of 1 + 1 is not 2. You have a function where that is even multiplied, where I'll break it down. Yeah, that synergy. When you have one person working, what that person is able to achieve, you will see it. When you have two persons working, what the two persons are able to achieve will be more than that one person multiplied by two. That's what I mean. And then if you change it to four, it exponentially expanding. You understand it? So it's always good to bring ideas together where people from different walks of life put their ideas together. And that's one of the areas where we are weak in Liberia, Group of mechanics will come together, say, oh, I got under my mechanic shop here. But I can't stay on my own. The people do it here. The people get together. Mechanic here in Cinco will unite with 10 different 20 mechanics. They will get together. They will build that big mechanic shop. So if you multiply that one man by 10, that big mechanic shop they built, he alone, if you multiply him by 10, you're not going to get that shop. So that's why I mean by 2 plus 2 is more than 4. So you have a synergy because all of the mechanics have got together, or let's say the mechanic in Cinco, they've got together and they've built a huge shop. They are able to repair. They are able to take care of spare part. They are able to do so many things that you can't imagine. Most of the big entities you have in Germany, that's how they started small. The Siemens, that is one of the biggest engineering conglomerate in the world. It started small and then people got together. And when people get together, lots of ideas come. And like we said, we've not been short on ideas. We've been short on maybe how to implement the entire process of implementing our different ideas, the consistency, keeping our focus on what we've agreed to, keeping our eyes on the paper, what we've signed, what we've agreed to, implementing every details to the letter, that we don't falter. We do it for 5 years consistently. We don't change. We keep our eyes on all the resolutions that were passed at the last convention. Every time we print it up big, we put it in the bishop office. Every time the bishop enters his office, you see the resolution. All the big office, the U office, they print the resolution up, they put it on the wall. If we do that all the time, we keep our focus so that we implement the different resolutions part, the hundreds of resolutions we've passed over the last 20 years. Our church will be a different place. So this conference is one of the ideas where we want to harness our resources, not just the material resource, our intellectual resources. We got ideas all over the world, and that's something we're giving back. You talk about the university, for instance. That university, you can live in the United States and teach that university in Liberia. It's possible. I can live here in Germany and teach at that university in Liberia. I may come there 1 or 2 times, but I don't necessarily have to be a resident in Liberia to be a professor at that university. It's possible. Now it's very easy. Very, very easy to do. And that's how, you scout resources. That's how our church is going to grow intellectually. Our church will grow spiritually. Our church will grow in all the different aspects. And if we don't come together, to me, it would be a huge meeting, and I wish to be a part. I wish to be a part. And that's what I will support. I will support that it be recognized by the Lutheran Church in Liberia. We don't see it as a threat. We should see it as an opportunity for the church to move forward. When we're coming together to brainstorm, bring different ideas together. There'll be infighting, there will be disagreements, but that's beautiful. That's how our institution will grow.
Dr. Toto, we have the proponent of this all Liberian Lutheran conference, and he's on the line, so maybe he can just expand a little bit. Brother Cesar Goya is on the line, Reverend Davis. Go ahead.
That's great.
Gentlemen, how you all doing?
Doing well.
Hey man, I haven't been following, so I don't want to. I hope I don't go over things that folks have already said, but I think the idea of all Liberian Lutheran conference came to my mind when we were talking about some of the shortcomings in the Lutheran Church in Liberia, and then I think we were talking about issues of not there not being enough focus in that matches today's reality. And so I was thinking, with the vast amount of very qualified Lutherans around the world, not just in the U.S., but even in as close as Guinea and Sierra Leone, and very much in Liberia, like coming together instead of just complaining and pointing at the holes in the Lutheran Church, but actually come together with a mindset of proposing solutions and working towards plugging those holes, because the Lutheran Church has to transition from a mission church. We're no longer receiving all of the support we used to receive before, and we can no longer afford to just be like a cassava leaf, just our hands out begging. When you fight, we have a huge pool of very talented Lutherans around the world that come together and kind of craft a new way forward for the Lutheran Church, so that we don't continue to be second or third in Liberia. When you fight, we deserve to be first. And so I think it would be a good thing if we can bring folks together, and folks can be we all can be put in sections according to where they find their passion and their calling. So you could have one on education that focuses on the Lutheran school system. Where have we come from? Where are we now? Where do we want to go? How do we get there? Right, so we lay out a roadmap. We don't just come to a conference and talk and eat and hug and then leave. We actually lay out a roadmap. For example, the Lutheran health system. Where have we been? Where are we now? Where do we want to go? How do we get there? And who are the people? Who are the stakeholders we need to be the drivers for us to get to where we want to go? So that it's not just a group of people sitting and coming up with these ideas. Which may be a good thing, but when you have many heads at the table and you have constructive dialogue, you have a lot of people who understand what they're talking about, who actually practice in the fields that they're talking about, I think the Lutheran Church will benefit a lot. And I think this can be, this, I really do believe, not even think, I really do believe that if this is done well, it can serve as a model for even the Republic of Liberia, on how they can bring together their citizens from the diaspora, those who have traveled far and near, and those who have learned, and those who have been introduced to alternative way of learning and leading, so that we carry those back. So it kind of almost feel like the diaspora going back, kind of like not taking over forcibly, but almost like reversing what Europeans did when they colonized, right? They brought their ideas. So now we come back and see what else is happening in the rest of the world, and go back and look at our solutions, our problems, and craft solutions that will fit our unique system and our unique traditions and cultures we have in Liberia, and our unique cultures and traditions we have in the Lutheran Church in Liberia. There's a lot of love out there. There are a lot of Lutherans, including me. I go to different churches to worship, but at heart I am a Lutheran, and I will, at a drop of a dime, I will turn to support a Lutheran initiative and to give of what I have benefited by being a Lutheran. So that's where this whole idea came from, is getting a lot of really smart people around the world and sit down, and instead of talking at one another, we talk about the issue and we craft a way forward.
Thank you so much, Brother Guerra.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank
so
you.
very happy that very make a call me. I know do the time different. I know late on Reverend side, you have to go to bed.
I'm okay. I'm good.
We don't keep you off on do the time difference. But you listen to the proponent of the conference. What you said.
I'm drawing two very important points. The first is that when you look back in history, 1885, 1884, 1885, the Berlin Conference, people plan about Africa, discuss about Africa without the Africans. They sat in Berlin, and when they imposed on the Africans, modern Africans said, no, we want to learn. We don't want a situation where you think in Berlin you got all the ideas and you are coming to take care of us, the children, and give us ideas. So what I found beautiful about it is all inclusive. It is not from point A to point B. It is meeting at the common center. Liberians on the ground, who are well knowledgeable, who understand the context, coming together as well with Liberians that are scattered around the world. So it's a coming together of Liberians meeting at the common point, and creating a vision and working out this roadmap, to move our church forward. That's what I found brilliant. Like in the past, it was imposition. People had ideas about Africa and decided what to, and it's still going on in different areas, in developmental areas. You still have it, the European Union, the different American system, they are still coming and imposing. And it is good that our own Liberians who come to the West don't repeat what the Europeans and Americans are doing in their developmental philosophy. So there's a change where you are meeting at the center with the people who are on the ground, and you are crafting because you are humble, you don't have all the ideas, you don't know everything. Whether you are a doctor, there are doctors on the ground. Whether you're an engineer, there are engineers on the ground. There are pastors there, there are lawyers there, there are technicians there, technocrat, all of us coming together to narrow everything down so that we can strategize how to move our church forward. And I found that very, very fascinating.
So what are comment question for you?
No, I mean actually the Reverend he did not actually disappoint us, and it's not surprising. Matter of fact that he's from St. Matthew's Parish. For me, once someone is that you already gave me the chance. Now let me speak. Okay. Once someone is appearing on the show from St. Matthew, I don't have a single doubt in that individual. Once the person has the mark of St. Matthew, okay, bearing on their name.
Hold on. To be a favor,
Right.
Go to Royal Jerusalem. He put a copy. I think he put it in Germany.
He's trying to greet Reverend David.
The man has the German. I know my man German has improved. Great. I mean, your German great. We need to speak some German.
Yeah,
they get surprised. It's a guten Abend, Herr Davis. Wie geht's dir?
Ja, see, Reverend,
can you go to I want for Reverend to read the comment for all you German?
I did. You didn't hear me. He said guten Abend, which means good evening. Guten Abend, good evening.
Okay.
Wie geht's dir? How are you doing?
All right.
I met Web wrote that thing for
no,
him.
that the man wrote it. Where are you?
I met from St. Andrew.
That the man wrote it.
Listen, I just messing with you, right? No, and no, Daraturo. When I said this, I don't joke about it. When it comes to St. Matthew's, all right, anything from St. Matthew, I'm telling you, anyone from St. Matthew, any product of St. Matthew, I have no doubt in them, because they have produced and they continue to demonstrate that they are capable of producing. You don't want me to name names now, okay? So I mean, it's one product right here, okay? On the Constitution Review Committee, you have Councillor B.M. Molaba is there. When it comes to the education side, you have Mother Sarah, Sarah Taylor. When it comes to okay, I will pause for now, and just to say that.
Pause for
and just to let you know that St. Matthew.
Pause for that.
Technically, St. Matthew is the bare round of the LCL. Take it or leave it. But anyway, Reverend, I want to say thank you so much. One thing here at MLC Talk, I can't be done to it.
Let me take charge of my show. You can't later on. Talking too much.
No, I just want to tell him the tradition here. I just want to tell him the tradition that, there's a saying that in Liberia, they say, oh, the person went across and they drank the water. So once you come to MLC Talk and you drink the water, make sure that we're going to be calling you back at some time in the future to discuss some other issues. And again, I really want to say thank you. Because today we have from St. Peter, the people checking reach on the compound. Anyway, we'll discuss that.
When you keep talking, I'll put in the background.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead,
So, Larry, we'll try to wind on the show now. You give your closing comment, and I would like for you to include certain part of your closing comment, and what they will give a closest email, and we'll take it home. Well, while in Germany also too, we want to solicit help from you also too. We are
Yep.
also this network have been given a task by the Lutheran Church in Liberia to see how best we can revamp or open
Hmm.
proposed Luther FM that were in existence some time ago. What really happened that went wrong? We don't want to go back to history. But I think there's a need at this 21st century, you know, where communication is becoming the bedrock of development. So we have taken the task to help the Lutheran Church in Liberia to open the Luther FM. Uh, then that we have been working towards it. You get an official communication from us.
Yep.
What help you think again? The network to make that dream successful for the Lutheran Church in Liberia by opening the radio station, the Luther FM. Yeah. So in your, we're closing the show now. Thank you for coming. Would we appreciate? Maybe one of these days will be our guest in Germany for me. I'll try one last sometime. I don't know, so much schedule this here for conferences.
I
But
look
you
forward to seeing you.
hope to find myself that one of these days. But in your closing statement, I want for you to speak to our leaders in Liberia the church when it comes to diaspora Liberian participating in the leadership structure of the church, and also to the Constitutional Revision Committee. If you were to speak to them about a clause in the Constitution, whatever decision they made, whatever clause they put in that Constitution, let it be for the spirit of God. Let God, let it be directed by God. They shouldn't do it by emotion to put a package upon their fellow brothers and sisters that are across the water or across the sea. Let it be fair. Even the Executive Council that would approve of the Constitution, the Convention, let it look at us as one brother, one church, one Lutheran. The unity for dual citizenship, there was a struggle for dual citizenship for diaspora Liberian. Today, dual citizenship has passed. We all enjoy dual citizenship. And let it go across the board to the churches also. Not the Lutheran church in Liberia as a whole, but other churches. Because if one church start the new school everywhere will be the same thing. So in your closest able one for you to speak to your people, on this critical issue of our church. When you come to the Constitutional Revision Committee, the Convention, the Lutheran Church, diaspora Lutheran participation, the Lutheran Church in Liberia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Toto. I know your brother very well. We're very close. Gala.
Yeah.
Extend my greetings to him. Very nice fellow. Cowboy, I am very impressed. You guys, thanks a lot for encouraging this platform. I think it's very important for us to bring different ideas together, having different avenues where we can borrow ideas to move our institution forward. And I don't think our central leadership should see this innovation from the All Liberian Lutheran Conference as a as a competitor that's trying to kind of supplant them, replace them, give them less meaning, so that people don't look at them. It should be seen as as people who are well intended for development, progress in our church. And the question of the constitution is organic. It's organic, and if it were not organic, we're never going to think about putting new life into it. Our constitution is organic. It should be able to live from generation to generation, and there should be a consultative process. I don't know all about their procedures, and I don't want to dictate, how they carry on their entire program. They are level-headed people. They perhaps gone far ahead, but I believe there might have been some kind of consultative process or processes where the ordinary people, the people who overlook, the people all the way down there, our traditional people that I like very much. They are the people who have the highest faith. I would say that highest in quotation, and they don't question our traditional people and the other people as well who are well educated. You have the consultative process where everyone is kind of allowed to kind of give some input. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of the inputs will come into the constitution, but that it helps your thinking, helps your evolution in building this very important document. And that kind of consultation is good so that people don't feel excluded. The fact that you listen to people makes them happy, even if you don't consider their ideas. You allow them to talk. It's cycle, it helps. It's therapeutic. It helps the process, as the process goes on. And one final point I will make is this citation from Matthew chapter 28, the final verse in that chapter. And I think it's just very, very, very exciting and reassuring, where Jesus tells his disciples, they are kind of hopeless. Then Jesus tells them, yeah, I will be with you to the end of the ages. His supernatural presence is with the church to the end of ages, to the end of the ages. That's a message that I kind of carry to the German people here, because sometimes they feel very despondent. The church is getting smaller and smaller, and they want to fight with all their muscles, with all their strength, all their their weapons that they have, all their ballistic missiles to fight. And I tell them the church is God's church. And God is in charge. He promised in Matthew chapter 28 that he will never leave his church alone, that he is with his church to the end of the ages. And that should serve as as a motivation to other of us, should give us to strengthen our faith, should give us hope. Our church is not going to fail. Our church is going to succeed, because it means Jesus is present. And in the original Greek, it's very interesting. It means it's not going to fail. It's the church, the ecclesia, is going to succeed. Yeah, that's my final statement. So let's continue to keep the faith and be faithful. But prayer does not end on the knees. After praying, we'll get up from our knees and we'll work. And that's what you guys doing, and that's what all of us should try to do to move our church forward. Thank you very much for having me tonight. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Thank you.
So, what?
Yeah.
Very good discussion.
Yes.
I'm so impressed about the way in which Reverend addressed the question.
Yeah.
One of the key takeaways I like from the conversation, the local on the ground, he said that it shouldn't just be done because of election.
Right.
They have to run back home for election. It should be an engagement process. So by the time election coming, people will not feel that there's a election coming. But we can't just be sitting in the diaspora without doing anything.
And wait until the last minute to,
want to make our presence felt. I'm accepted for living Liberia too. I will have that same resentment.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very good point. That's a very good point. He's right. We have to enjoy the process. I like the whole evolution he tied around the conversation when it comes to our involvement in the church. What would we do as for the diaspora? Even the Constitution Committee also too.
Yeah.
When I frame a dialogue. I mean, it was very, very good discussion.
No, it was. It definitely was. That it took a very good conversation, and I like how he struck the balance. He talked about that our brothers and sisters, our siblings, who reside in Liberia currently, do not see this as a as a challenge or as a sign of negativity, that having your siblings come to join you to move the funding, the way forward of our church, so our church can be self-sustainable. We should see this as an advantage and not a disadvantage. But he also did not fail to acknowledge the work of our local siblings back home, the work that they are putting in, and he also cautioned, like, he said he cautioned those that are in the diaspora. It can be Guinean, Sierra Leone, it can be Nigeria, South Africa. If you have any intention to make an impact into our in the life of our church, the LCL, we should not wait until electoral time to go and make our presence felt. We should make our presence felt beginning now and moving forward, so that when the time comes, our people will already be accustomed to us,
Yeah.
and wait until the last minute, to make our presence felt. And I really like, and I like the conversation tonight. And I mean, be honest, we had a great show tonight. We had a very great show tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
a very good point he raised. And also too, I will look at it with it, if the issue of diaspora Liberians, that's a Lutheran, diaspora Lutheran involvement, the church, I think you have to go beyond the administration also to
yeah.
let us engage the parishes also too.
Yeah.
Let the parishes be engaged, about this situation here too, because it like our people could have been brainwashed
Hmm.
for the issue of towards citizens should be successful in Liberia. What what we did with the grassroots, there was a message that was passed in the local data, the local
Yeah.
vernacular, the other
Hmm.
thing to create awareness, to
Right.
educate our people. We say these are your brothers and sisters who left because of one or two reasons. They finally said they want to come back home.
Right.
Embrace as your brother. The same way to kind of the Lutheran Church in Liberia also too. Once you have election for leadership, people want to contest.
Right.
Being whether they live in Liberia or being whether they live in the diaspora, they want to contest. Now,
Mhm.
if you want to create a demarcation, you want to draw the line between who live in Liberia, who live in the diaspora, then it
Mhm.
becomes engagement now. Everybody want to be engaged in the process to get their understanding of the process, how to be
Right.
engaged. That's the reason, and that's why I think the parishes should be involved in the discussion also too. At some point, either would have to engage the council chairperson or the church council or some of the parishes that we can bring them on the show
No,
also too. A year from them too. For what are their people telling them also, because they lead the local churches also too. What are the people
the local parishes, yeah, that are total.
what are people telling them?
Yeah, that are total. Just to pick from there, right? And I would say that our parish leaders, uh, um, I would be more than willing to appear on the show. My only disappointment is, some of those who are, you know having this feeling, this thought of negativity, that, okay, I'm on the ground, you are up there, why are you coming down here? We've been here for a long time, what have you? Let Reverend Sapia David said there's a way in which you can engage and you empathize with them, and yes, it is
Yeah.
true. You understand that? And we also want to state that, so the public will know that we reached out to the BA of the church on several occasions, and he failed to respond to us, because we want this conversation to be broad. Okay, not only those from the diaspora, we also reach to some of our local pastors to appear on the show. Come and give your input. I mean,
Yeah.
this is an open conversation. Okay, this is an open conversation, and we listen, it shouldn't be viewed as we are only bringing those who are not in Liberia on the show. Okay, they are the one, accepting to come on the show. But we've extended this invitation a wildcast night. We've extended this invitation to our local pastors, our church leaders, to appear on the show and, give their views and give their opinion. Or one more thing, Reverend Pierre came on the show, the BA came on the show in January and told us that there's this organized prayer conference, or not prayer conference, but this prayer service for our church. Okay, how far have we gone? And we haven't heard anything yet. I know the last time Bishop could not appear on the show because they were, traveling all the way from Maryland or Sano County, to Monrovia. Okay, he could not appear on the show. All right, we understand that, but what progress have we made when it comes to this prayer conference? Okay, and I will say this quickly, Dr. Tudo. You see, there are some investment that we make as a church, and even though times let's say that we make this investment or we sow these seeds for the future. Like you see, like the church here, okay, they have invested in so many other ventures. All right, like a retirement venture, they have those programs. They have the church also has a bank. All right. And what can we do? We're asking our church, come, what ideas we can put together. Bishop appeared on the show last year and the year before. He informed us that we had this orange farm, okay, over 150 trees, were planted. Orange farm. How far have we gone? What's the update on the orange farm? What's the update on the rubber farm, even a cassava farm? What's the update on that? We haven't heard anything yet. We also need to bring the three fellowships together. We need to bring the three fellowship, the men, women, and youth. We could bring all three of them on the show together to give their input to regarding this entire conversation. But Dr. I will tell you, man, this is a great show. You've really been handling this well, and I will end on this note. Tigon Kere, you are my uncle. This is not your UBCAA. I will find you. You appear to us. This is not your UBCAA announcement board here, please. So you pay us. And Uncle Jerome, Uncle Jerome started the conversation very nice. Then now Uncle Jerome fired me in the foot. So he said, "Wow, you guys are doing great, and it has been a pleasant show so far."
I would love, I would love for to bring Mr. Cole on the show.
No, seriously, we need to bring.
I would like to hear from the legal for the legal side. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Jericho, that's a lawyer. And
Yeah.
I would love to have him on the show, so we can try to talk. They will talk some of the legal aspect, also to what the literature like bro. Not just only the diaspora participation, also other aspects of the church also too.
Yeah, we need to. We need to bring the legal folks on the team too.
Yeah, it's really. He one of those Sunday school guys from way down the line. Or we just they were so rest in peace at the school. I think she was buried yesterday.
Yeah.
Those are the people that we sat on their feet during our days in Sunday school at St. Peter Lutheran Church, and also Jerome also do their way down the line for Sunday school days. Those are when we talk about Lutheran nation, we talk about the Lutheran Church in Liberia. Those are the faces. Mm-hmm. Those are the faces that some of them know. And I hope that.
I think we can try to engage. I'm still used to.
Available for us.
No, definitely. I'm so used to this. The Sunday school days. There's some people when I see, I just still think about the Sunday school days, like Uncle Jerome and Big Auntie Sue. I still call them those names even until her death. And I want to state to Brother Jerome, Uncle Jerome. I want to state to you, because you and Big Auntie Sue work together very closely in Sunday school, bringing us up, in our Christian journey. I want to extend our deepest condolences to you specifically. Working with Big Auntie Sue, helping us up, while we came up in Sunday school in our Christian journey. And also, not to forget, I know we spoke about this the show prior to this on Sunday. Our dear colleague and brother, Brother Abel Batam Abel Lewally. We want to express our deepest condolences to you as well. Brother Abel Lewally lost his mother. We want to say, have our sympathy. We want to express our deepest condolences to you as well. And also the Payne family. The Payne, the late Mother Payne was buried yesterday. We saw Reverend Goba and some of the other representatives from Aliyah were there yesterday.
Yeah, buried yesterday also. And also we just want to, on behalf of the network, we just want to extend our deepest condolences, to all those that went through time of bereavement the past few times. Yeah, it's been tough for the Lutheran Church in Liberia. Especially those are prominent people that we lost during the past couple of weeks. That's with our own area. He got hit back to back, the mother, the sister.
Yeah, the sister first. I think the sister first than his mother, right?
Yeah, I call him. I said we talk. I have a conversation here. We talk. And it's also talk. And we just want to express our deepest condolences to everybody. That went through a time of bereavement. This is a network. A great discussion. As you said, we elevated discussion on another level. We try to get more people on the ground for the from Liberia or for the LCL side, so we can elevate the discussion. At the end of the day, we want to make an informed decision, about the whole process. How do we move forward, and how do we lay the groundwork, for the students. So with it, I think time have been fast spent, and you can, if there's nothing else, you can take us home.
Yeah, really nothing much. I also just want to extend deepest condolences to brother Joe Telewood and his entire family, and wishing them God's traveling mercy on their way back. So he and his entire family, they are in Liberia right now. As you know, his mom was buried yesterday. Joe is a personal, brother to me. So I want to extend condolences to him as well. Yeah, so far nothing much. Again, it's St. Matthews. But anyway, that I told me that I told me say we should start with St. Matthews.
I'm not going to crucify you. That if I'm going to crucify you.
All right, folks, have a blessed week.